Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know Show. I'm Jim McPhee, and right there is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, know-it-alls? Welcome back. You know, this is what we like to do every single week. We talk football with you guys out there. Listen, if you haven't already done so and you're new, or even if you just kind of delayed, and show some love to us here. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Hit the thumbs up. Turn on all the notifications. You know all that deal. You know the deal. Help support the channel. And we are going to dive into some of the free agents that are still going to be available looking for teams. And unfortunately for them, they are still not signed. But me and Jim will give you our own personal top 3 free agents to let you know that, yes, there is still value out there. There are still free agents that you can add to your roster to help build your team for next season. Jim, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. Doing good, buddy. Very busy. How about you?
Yeah, you know me, like the clock never stops. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like going into, I gotta admit, like I'm looking a little rough right now. I haven't shaved in like a few days, and it's really showing.
Yeah, I bought the best clippers I've ever seen the other day, and not only can I just cut hair phenomenally with this thing, if I needed, today quick shave. Just
Really?
took the clippers to the face, and it works great.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay.
Dude,
All right.
amazing. All
But
right,
the reason being, actually, is I've been putting a lot of work in for the draft. I've been putting in the film, putting in the work, trying to get to know these prospects better. So that way, when we start to do those top 10s, top 5s type of position rankings, I'll be better prepared for that. But yeah, so doing a lot of work here, Jim. You can tell like the studio might look different to some of the OG know-it-alls on this show. Background is all blue now.
Yep.
Freshly painted. Looking good. Studio's starting to come together.
Yeah. I'm one of those people, I guess. So with the studio, I just got to keep changing it every single year. I'm never satisfied. I just got to keep readjusting, moving it around. But you guys will like it. Come draft night, you guys get to see the full allure of the
spectrum.
Yes, of the new studio and everything. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. But the reason we're here tonight is, again, available 3 free agents out there. There's a bunch of top ones out there to talk about. We're bringing up our 3 each. You guys join in conversation too. Tell us what you guys think the landing spots would be. And then if you feel some other free agents out there that you're excited to see go to certain spots, let us know in the comments as well. All right, Joe, so let's get this thing started here. Free agents, potential landing spots. We'll go back and forth. So I'm going to start with yours first. Let's go ask you what one of yours is, and then I'll go to myself. And
all right. So the first guy on my list is Juwan Jennings, wide receiver, formerly of the 49ers, guy who has kind of built himself up to this point where, like, he was kind of hoping coming into this free agent market, he was gonna be one of the first guys signed. And I'm actually really surprised that he still has yet to be signed. And there could be a reason for that, but it's not production. It's not what this guy can do for you. Like, obviously we're gonna forget about the 21 and 22 seasons. He was and 23 seasons. He was in a limited role, rotational role with the Niners. He didn't really see a lot of field time, but the little bit of field time he did see, he made it count. But recently, when you look at the last 2 years where he's actually started to be the starter for the Niners, had in 24, 113 catches, just missing the 1,000-yard mark with 975 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, leading to a catch percentage rate of 68.1. Pretty darn good. Then you look at this past season, less targets, less catches, 90 targets, and he caught 643 yards worth of receiving yards. But his touchdowns, they were using him heavily in the red zone. He had 9 touchdowns, but his catching percentage dipped a little bit to 61. And for me, this guy is easily a really good number 2. Like if you're looking for a wide receiver to play opposite your X receiver, your playmaker, Juwan Jennings would be a great complement to that. I'm surprised he's still out there. However, the only thing that I could come up with is the fact that it's not injury related. Obviously, the production's there. It has to be his price tag. I think he thought coming into this free agent market, he was going to be the number 1 sought after receiver. Instead, there was a lot of hype with Alec Pierce, and then that kinda took care of itself, and now Juwan Jennings is still sitting out there, so it has to be his price tag is too high, but that's why teams have stopped calling him, and until his number comes down, he's still gonna be out there.
Yeah, and they're seeing a lot of different landing spots for this guy. A lot of suitors or where he might land that might be the best fit. As far as him and his talents, I think he could stay right there in the state of California and be out that way and potentially be a Charger. Because I think if you add somebody like that to that roster with the young talent that they have on top of it, plus they have some money to spend. I know you've talked about them being kind of a run first type of team, but with more weapons like this, and you kind of saw what they started to kind of do. They turned a different leaf and said, "Hey, maybe just the running game isn't all that here. We got to be able to, throw the ball down the field here. We got Justin Herbert." Adding a weapon like that to the Los Angeles Chargers, I think adds a whole lot more to this offense and makes it a bit more dangerous here for them to compete in the tough division that they're in too as well.
Yeah, I'd go a different route for me
Mhm.
personally. Like I think I'd go with the Cleveland Browns. They're desperate for receivers. You got the Buffalo Bills. I don't think they're
Mhm.
done with adding talent. Obviously, they made the trade for DJ Moore, but man, if you were able to pair up DJ Moore and Juwan Jennings going into the draft, you're in a really good spot. I've also heard rumors about the Bills lately interested in Tyreek Hill, which I
Mhm.
feel is interesting scenario, but there's no shortage of teams out there that still need receiver. They still need a guy, that can come in and help out with even the current wide receiving core that they have, or to bolster it furthermore. Maybe the Texans. I know they have some younger guys, and they do like Jaden Higgins and obviously Nico Collins coming back from his injury. But I think this guy could literally fit any single role. I think any team that's looking for wide receiver help, maybe if they're not looking in the draft, you bring in a guy like Juwan Jennings to kind of help bolster that team. So, um, yeah, Juwan Jennings, I'm surprised he's still there, but also it's probably a price tag thing. And until that number comes down, he'll remain a free agent.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think still available out there, which is an interesting person to kind of be out there that has many different roles. I think he could fit in a sense of where he decides to go, and that's Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, I think, is very intriguing here as being a kind of name that brought into the Atlanta Falcons a few years ago and say, "Hey, here you go, you've got the keys." Then all of a sudden they go and draft Michael Penix Jr. And now those members of that team are no longer there anymore with this who had helped make that decision. And he's moved on since now being a free agent. At times, the first season was what he was. He's coming off that Achilles injury, and it seemed like he wasn't all completely healthy. Last year was a bit different because when he was asked upon to start towards the end of the season, he won 4 consecutive games towards the end too as well. It seemed like he really dialed in and used his knowledge against Todd Bowles and some of these other head coaches that he's faced before in these defenses. And I think he still has some more in the tank. You talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers for one, that they're waiting on bated breath on whether Aaron Rodgers is going to come back or not. And hey, the ties between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, and say, hey, this is probably a given. You've got some wide receiver talent there. You've made some other different moves. They feel like they still have the ability to win. They won't let go of the chance to win. Okay, well, if that's your view of things, why is it just rent Aaron Rodgers year by year? Why does that make sense to you right now? If you feel like
Right.
you're not giving up and giving yourself a chance to win right now, why is it invested in Aaron Rodgers? So I look at somebody like Kirk Cousins, and there's been ties all over the place of where he might fit best. But if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm almost saying let's jump in front of this Aaron Rodgers thing and say, you know what? Kirk Cousins is like 4 years younger than, Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have the production that Rodgers had a bit last year, but Kirk Cousins is still a suitable starter at this point, still a good veteran in his point in his career, even though coming off of some of that injuries. I feel like if you dropped him into Pittsburgh, I think he would be just as productive as Aaron Rodgers might have been, with less of the drama. He's a full team player. He doesn't have the whole rolling the eyes, look at the sidelines, like, look at these jokes that I'm throwing to. Give me somebody else in that's aged and a veteran to throw to. You don't have any of that. Plus, he's younger. So I feel like you still get a few more valuable years. And with the knowledge that he has and being a veteran, I think he could still teach Will Howard some things and end up changing, the guard, but still get a chance for him to be a starter somewhere. Because the other rumors around him are the fact that, maybe he goes to the Raiders and then, okay, he's going to be the starter for the first year until, Mendoza's ready, because that's the way Tom Brady sees, a quarterback coming in the league. Let's not start him right away. Let's set him behind a veteran. And I get that too, as well. So I could see him doing that and landing potentially in Vegas. I get that. But I mean, if he wants to try and win though, too, and a team that's out there ready to try to win, I wouldn't, put out, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you know what? The Pittsburgh thing, like, I'm just not sure if he'll mesh with Mike McCarthy. I know he could handle his offense easily and all that, but I don't know. There's just something about the reason why they hired McCarthy. I know they're really trying to hope that Rodgers comes back again, but it's really only going to be a one-hit wonder. It's only 1 year. And we talked about with Pittsburgh Steelers plenty of times that they keep delaying the inevitable. They're not finding their future at the most important position in the NFL, quarterback. Like, so it seems like they just keep kicking the can down the road. They keep delaying what needs to be done. And even if, let's just say, Rodgers doesn't come back, because that's what it kind of feels like anyways, and Kirk Cousins is the guy. Kirk Cousins is not the long-term answer either.
Right.
Like, Kirk Cousins is trying to look for that perfect situation to where he can hop on a team. Like, honestly, right now, if he was to hop on, if the Carolina Panthers decided, hey, Bryce Young's really not our guy, but hey, we just caught wind that Kirk is interested in coming to us, I think that would be the best situation for him to come in on a young team that is kind of right there in that NFC South, that where they look what they accomplished last year. You know what I mean? And that was with a quarterback that was kind of very inconsistent. Maybe Kirk Cousins can go in there and maybe push them even farther. So that would be a perfect scenario. But the most likely thing is the fact that he's not going to get the opportunity that he wants. He's going to have to take a job, whether it be just start for 1 year, like you mentioned with the Raiders, or even if he takes the Pittsburgh route, it's going to be a short-term thing, and then it's all said and done. So even if he goes to Pittsburgh, I still wouldn't envision the Steelers being that team that's going to go for the Super Bowl. And that's really what Kirk wants. He just wants an opportunity to win a championship again. So, but anyways, I don't see it happening. But at the same time, like, he is one of those free agents that are out there that kind of surprised he still is, honestly. And the fact that he's still out there now, that situation that he was hoping for is definitely gone. So now it's time to shift gears for Kirk. So I'm curious to see where he ends up. He's obviously going to be on a roster before week 1 hits. I mean, whether that be in a backup role or a guy that's going to come in and start short term for you. But again, he's definitely one of those top end free agents that are still available that can help out.
Yeah, give a shout out to Paul Gifford out there with us tonight.
What up, Paul?
Shout out to him, man. Thank you for joining in with us, buddy. Yeah, so I think he's got some potential out there. We'll see where other suitors might be for him. But I think yeah, it would have to be in that leadership type of role.
Right.
All right. So who else do you have next?
All right. So my next one, I got Brian Robinson Jr. I mean, how is this guy still available? I don't understand. I mean, this guy has gone from being a starter with the Washington Commanders in 22 at 23 years of age. The guy started his career, just got cut underneath 800 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and is also a receiver as well. So a guy that can do a multiple things for you out of the backfield. 9 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. You're like, yeah, that's not a big deal. No, but the rushing yards were there, and that was his first year in the NFL. Then you go into 23, 733 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, and then it takes a little bit of a jump here. He gets 36 catches, 368 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. 24, again, just missing 800, 799 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns. You're seeing that trend starting to move up now. 20 catches, 159 yards. And then this past year, he's been with the 49ers. He's sitting under Christian McCaffrey. This guy's not going to get a lot of opportunity there in San Francisco. This is where in free agency, Brian Robinson's looking for a better opportunity. Even if it's not a featured back role, he wants to be a prominent player for that offense. He wants to be heavily involved. So when you look at 25, at 26 years old, he's still young, still in his prime, only had 400 rushing yards, wasn't asked to do a lot, even in the receiving department, 8 catches, 25 yards. Like that, it's McCaffrey's gig, bottom line. So the guy's only there for insurance purposes. Now he's out there, still young and in his prime. I can't believe he's still out there. Any team. This isn't a scheme fit type of guy. Right. Like you can have him on any roster. If you got a halfway decent offensive line, this guy's going to cook. This guy's going to rack up yards. Hell, he might even get eclipsed at 1,000 yards. You know what I mean? So, very gifted guy, great guy with great vision. He has speed too. Doesn't look like a whole lot when you look at him physique wise, but the guy just makes plays. And at this point in free agency, for a guy that's 26 years old, maybe he turns 27, and even if that's the case during the season, this guy is just untapped potential. Bring him into your lineup and just enjoy what you're going to watch. The guy, no matter how often you need him in there, he's going to give you everything he's got.
Yeah, I thought once he joined that team, well, first of all, it was a head scratcher to me again. The fact that Washington's like, hey, we're just going to move on from this guy, and we're going to go with this guy who likes to call himself Bill. And you saw a dip in their production in the running game. And I'm like, what are they doing, man? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And then you see he's splitting time with Christian McCaffrey. When he's out there on the field, he's doing well. Like he's rushed, I think I forget what his yards per average were, but he was productive enough that I'm like, wow, this guy needs another job. Again, you ripped off his stats. So I feel like he can go to another one of those spots that kind of do the running back kind of committee, or just spell a guy here and there. I think that would be a nice fit again until he finds that spot. Him being 27, like you said, still has some juice in the tank here, still has something to prove. Why not put him with somebody like that? Maybe now that some of these other guys, Rico Dowdle's no longer in there, and you've got Chuba Hubbard there with the Carolina Panthers, maybe he slides over there and becomes the second back here with them. Who knows? You see so many different, I was surprised with what the Lions did. The Lions go and get, Pacheco after they have a 2 running back, banger over there. But why did you even bring in Isaiah Pacheco at this point? Especially with him with the injury issues, not the same type of dude. But somebody like Brian Robinson.
They moved on from David Montgomery. No, so they traded him, he's gone.
Yep, no, so, I get that, but still, he's not going to have the same production, I think, that David Montgomery would have done.
No, he's not as good of a running back.
All right, so what's up, Miles out there? Hey, what's up, buddy? Pleasure you joining in on the show. We appreciate you being here. So as far as spots for him to go to, I mean, I think it's all open out there for where he could potentially go.
I mean, and that's the thing is, if he's looking for opportunity, he's obviously going to want to go to like maybe a 2-back system for teams that are still trying to figure things out, and you're seeing that more and more now in the NFL where there's multiple backs in the backfield and they utilize them all. Like look at Kansas City, they do it a ton. Look at the Texans last year, they had a 2-way back system. Seattle Seahawks, a dual threat with freaking Kenneth Walker and then Zach Charbonnet. Like so, you're starting to see this more. Tennessee Titans do the same thing. So pretty much all the teams are starting to gravitate towards that. And you saw it with the Niners, but not really that much. It was more of a feature role for McCaffrey. But I'd say this guy, it's a crime. It's an absolute crime. This guy is still available and only 26 years old. So that's my second guy that I have.
All right, my next guy is David Njoku out there, and I know he's dipped in production due to some injuries here, but I still feel like he's got a spot to fill on a couple of these different rosters. I know the latest rumor, I think he was being courted by the Baltimore Ravens, and that's the big news. I'm thinking he's going to be landing there, but if that is the spot, that kind of is a head scratcher to me again, Joe. We talked about this last night on our other show on the Blindside Blitz that, okay, let's get this straight. So you re-sign Mark Andrews and then, let Isaiah Likely go, who's pretty productive out there, younger, a good receiving threat. And now you're like, hey, we got a hole at tight end now. Maybe we just go get the frequently injured David Njoku, and let's get him and bring him in, a veteran, and let's maybe overpay him. That seems like a good idea, Excellent. So yeah, genius. I mean, it is, and it's a lot of the mistakes that they make. The same thing like the Buffalo Bills. When I talked about the Bills, I could see them doing some of the different types of moves too. Not for David Njoku, obviously, because they've got some tight end over there, but I think Njoku still has something in the tank. I mean, a guy with that physique that he has too, and the ability to not only block but also catch underneath and be that kind of go-to tight end if somebody needs it. I still feel like he's got some spots to fill on some of those teams that like to run the tight ends. I know, New England could potentially, I think, be one of those landing spots here too for them. They like to go 2 tight end sets, sometimes 3 on top of it too. And, they've moved on from one of their tight ends, but they still have another veteran there and then some younger unknown talent. So I feel like Njoku could potentially want to kind of go to one of these contenders again, and the Patriots are kind of known for doing this type of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of do dip into that and he could go somewhere like that to a producer. But this guy has made plays and been able to have production despite the quarterback issues that have been in Cleveland for the last decade. And the whole time he's been there, he's been through the Baker Mayfield and then all the way through all the afterwards. So I think he was in there for Johnny Manziel. I mean, he was early back in the day, Joe. So, I mean, to withstand that franchise for so long and now be here at this point, I hope he can find a spot and be productive somewhere.
Yeah. And the only reason why he hasn't been like anytime that he's been productive, it's because he's healthy. It's because he's on the field. I mean, that's been the one knock on him since he entered the league is the fact that he just can't simply stay healthy. He's always, reoccurring injuries are popping up. He's always getting injured, missing significant time. Even if it's just a couple weeks, it's like it kind of derails the whole rhythm that he started with, in any given season. So this is a guy who is a dynamic receiver at the tight end position, but man, because of his injury history, because he just can't seem to stay on the field long enough, no one really knows how good this guy could be. We've seen small stints to where it's like, oh crap, this guy's a mismatch, and he is. But man, he just has to find a way to stay healthy. Now, maybe because every team's different, their medical staff is all different. They all view injuries different. They all handle them differently. The training staff handles everything differently. Maybe it's a problem in Cleveland. Maybe that's why those guys are getting hurt. Because maybe they don't have the best training staff. So, I mean, maybe if he turns that page, goes to a different environment. I've heard rumors about the Eagles talking to him right now, which would be really interesting because Dallas Goedert's still there.
Yeah.
So I wonder what they would do with Njoku if they're just going to use him as a receiving piece only, which kind of fits his mold. He's not really much of a blocker. But I think any team that needs a spark in the receiving department, any team, like, geez, like, I don't know. I think Minnesota could use him instead of like TJ Hawkinson. I'm sorry. TJ's a good, solid tight end, but he's not dynamic, and this guy could be dynamic for a team. Carolina, I just talked about him before. Like, I keep going back to them because it's like they don't have enough in terms of the receiving core. They have Tedero McMillan, who looked really good in his rookie year, but the guys behind him, Xavier Legette,
Yeah.
you basically can call him a bust already because the guy just hasn't shown anything. Jalen Coker, I like him. He's a solid receiver, not dynamic. You need something to help that offense. I think Njoku would fit really well. Obviously, you can kind of go down and look at some other teams here, but there's not any like glaring needs. I feel like a lot of teams did a good job in free agency. Like the Giants, it would have been my go-to for the Giants in bringing in Njoku, but they already took care of that. They got Isaiah Likely. Now you bring up the fact that Baltimore Ravens might be kicking the tires on Njoku, which makes no sense. You gave money to Mark Andrews. You moved on from Likely, who is in his prime. Why wouldn't you pay him instead? But hey, you know what it is? It is what it is. And the unfortunate part for Njoku is because of his injury history, he might not get a job. It might come down to after the draft, beginning of the season. If a tight end goes down with a season-ending injury, then that team is going to be calling Njoku. It might be that bad. And then you look at the draft this year, it is fully stocked with tight end talent, unlike any other season that I can remember, any other draft class I can remember. I mean, it is super deep. So maybe teams are starting to look towards the draft now and say, hey, whoever's left, if they don't want to sign for league veteran minimum or whatever, we're going to go in the draft. We're going to draft a guy who's going to be under a rookie contract and young and going to be here longer. So, yeah, unfortunately for Njoku, I like the guy. I think he has tremendous talent. The only big problem that he has is staying healthy.
All right. So finally now for your third guy, who do you got here, Joe?
So my third guy, I went off the reservation a little bit. Cornerback. Everybody needs corners. This is a guy who just got cut by the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans 2 years ago traded for him, L'Jarius Sneed, and was once deemed as a shutdown corner, a guy that you bring in and he's going to lock down that side of the field. Well, yes, he's getting a little bit older now, but in the last 2 years, hasn't played for Tennessee. He's been injured. So it's like, what happened here? Like, he gets traded to Tennessee. He doesn't ever play for Tennessee for the next 2 seasons. And now they're like, you know what? We've had enough. You can't even get healthy for us to see what we have here. They move on from him. Okay. New regime and everything. Now he's a free agent. Well, the thing that sucks here is that you're 29 years old. You're not over 30 yet. So that's still good. But the real critical thing here is the last 2 seasons of not being available for the team. And before that, though, I mean, this guy was actually all over the football. Like, passes defensed was insane. 76 total passes defense in a couple years. He had 8 interceptions, 11 interceptions, 14 interceptions leading up to the Tennessee Titans. This is a guy who was absolute ball hawk for Kansas City. And now, if you want to take a shot on him, the value is there. You don't, with the last 2 seasons of not being available, if you want to take a shot, add him to your, and by no means are you giving this guy like a $20 million a year type of deal or anything. This guy's been injured the last 2 seasons, but maybe you can get him on the cheap, bring him into your cornerback rotation, see if he can make the team for one. Because if he gets injured, you just kick rocks, move on from him. But man, if you are able to pay him on a cheaper contract, bring him in, and who knows, maybe he carves out a niche. Maybe he starts for you, and maybe he even stays healthy. If he does that, he could bounce right back. He could be like the freaking comeback player of the year. You never know. So that's a guy that is kind of like a little bit of a risk, obviously, but at the same time, kind of like Njoku in a sense, where maybe you take a shot, see what happens.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, he's not going to get comeback player of the year. I get that. But I mean, I think like you're saying, if we're worth taking a shot on him, sure. Why not? I mean, I feel like there's corner talent out there too, and people are going to draft somebody. But like you said, if you're looking to kind of bring somebody in there, shot in the dark, veteran minimal, sure, why not? And see what happens and see if he can maybe surprise you. Somebody even that knows, him, he's already been in their system, and maybe Kansas City would take it back even too in one of those types of scenarios too. See, they've moved on from some corner.
They got no corners,
so they say, hey, he's a guy we already know, the system, bring him back in. He'll probably work for us. I could see that happening right now for Ladarius Sneed. So I mean, why not? Well, let's do that. So I mean, that's probably the option that's going to happen, something like that, other than something, like you said, just a veteran coming in, see what happens, see if you make the roster, your fill-in spot, sure. But as far as going somewhere that he's going to be impactful, I don't think so. And like you said, his best years were before his injuries, but I don't think he's going to bounce back and kind of be this guy that I feel like Njoku could be for a team. But all right, so let's move on to my last guy here too. And I was looking at this guy because I thought it could be interesting, and he could have a few different spots he could go, and he's still productive. He had that dip 2 years ago, but last year, now going to the Washington Commanders, expecting, hey, I'm going to go play with Jaden Daniels. They just went to the playoff, had a big playoff run early. I get him in his second year. Let's do this. Let's make another run. And unfortunately, Jaden Daniels goes down early in the season, tries to fight back and come back early, but he was just too banged up and just, dude, sit down. So it was a hodgepodge year for the Washington Commanders. Just couldn't get any, couldn't get off the ground here for anything. But despite that, Deebo Samuel still produced for, playing 16 games. So he still had 720 yards, some five touchdowns too, 72 receptions. So feel productive for a team that didn't have their starting quarterback for most of the season and was down in the dumps here. So showed that he could still play, showed that he could still get open and make some plays here for a veteran on another squad who has some younger speed, wide receiver talent, isn't asked to be that guy that he was even for, San Francisco 49ers. You talked about the Carolina Panthers. You've already got Ted McMillan. You've got him there. You've got even Leggett here too. But like you said, he's not really showing anything too. Maybe you bring in, a veteran now like Deebo. They made the playoffs last year again. You've got a quarterback, maybe added him underneath with some plays, in the slot, doing some other different types of things for him might help them elevate a little bit more in that receiver talent. We're hearing rumors about him potentially going back to the Niners after they've got rid of other talent that they've had, including him from previous years. But he could potentially be coming back to the San Francisco 49ers at a comparable, veteran, type of rate now, not what he was asking before. He's going to be crawling back. All right, guys, I tried the market. I'm back. Here I go. Let's get the group back together type of run. But I could still also see him being effective if the Baltimore Ravens wanted to go for another kind of veteran wide receiver, add talent there for them. Even if the Buffalo Bills, if Samuel isn't asking for a whole lot and he can fit in their pocket a little bit too, another vet, it seems like a move that they would do. And I don't think it's out of the realm, even if Aaron Rodgers comes back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think you would mind grabbing a Deebo Samuel again too and say, hey, there's another vet I think I can count on. You guys can pretty much afford it probably too. You got DK, you got, Deebo on the other side too as well. And you got some talent there. So I can see that potentially being a spot for him too, but I still think he has enough left in the tank, but it's got to be for somebody. And I've named a few of them there that I think are playoff contenders.
I think for Deebo now, the mindset changes. I don't think it's going to be a Super Bowl contender for him. I think a lot of the teams, like the 49ers that he once left, I don't think they're going to revisit bringing him back into that role when they've already moved on with a youth movement. And they're going to continue to do so even in this draft. So there's another guy who in this draft is not the same as Deebo, but he's very similar in body type and what he can do for you. Chris Bell, I mean, that guy is going to be highly sought after for teams, maybe even like San Francisco that wants to kind of get a younger version in a sense of Deebo. So, but Samuel, like, I think that if he wants to continue playing, it's interesting because he doesn't fit in every offense. Like, you got to be able to use, like you brought up Baltimore. I think that is a great that's a great landing spot for Debo. I think that would work out really well for them. They don't like to throw the ball too many times deep down the field unless the guy's wide open, obviously. But they're a heavy run team, but they like to keep everything close to the vest pretty much on offense. And Debo, I think, would fit that physical, nasty. He could block down the field. He can take a short pass and then rip off 10, 15 more yards or whatever. So I think Ravens make a lot of sense. I think can we help my boy Malik Willis in Miami? For God's sakes, they traded Jalen Waddle away. They cut Tyreek Hill. This dude's got like no weapons now. He's got
they stripped it all down.
He's got a bunch of slot receivers as starters at the moment. And Miami is another one. How about Miami just step up to the plate here and let's sign Juwan Jennings. Let's bring in a Debo Samuel to help Malik Willis. It's crazy how some of these teams are going into the draft and they need a lot more help in the receiving core. And you don't see too much movement yet. Miami Dolphins are one. The Cleveland Browns are another. Like, there's definitely teams. Hell, I'd even argue the Jets. I think the Jets could use Debo. Does Debo want to go there? Probably not. I mean, not many people do, but there's definitely teams out there that could utilize him in a way that's going to make him successful. But he's not for everyone. So it's going to take a certain type of offense, and it's going to take a certain kind of mutual agreement to kind of bring him in, and he can still be a good starter for somebody. I see him more in a slot role than anything. I know when he was with San Fran, he wasn't kind of like locked into that slot role. It was more like they almost like created some gadget plays for him, run the ball with him, just do little, outlet passes to him and then watch him run after the catch. So very physically gifted receiver, a veteran that you can bring in and help mature your younger receiving core, maybe even give them some pointers and help them, get more acquainted to the NFL game. But again, like Debo, I'm concerned for him at this point because of his limited abilities for just any offense. He's got to fit a certain role and he's got to fit a certain offense that's going to heighten his skill set. And now that we're getting closer and closer to the draft, it seems like guys like him might be put in that same bucket of like David Njoku, where we don't really need you, but if someone gets hurt, or maybe even right after the draft where a team was going in there with the mindset of like, oh, we're going to attack this position, but the draft doesn't fall their way, then after the draft, maybe you see him get a quick signing somewhere that's still looking for that type of player.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of different free agents out there. You guys let us know in the comments again, too, who you think is one of your top free agents out there. What's their landing spots and why? Why do you think they might go there? And then also, what makes them so productive in here, too, and what the future might hold for them.
Let us know, even the ones that we listed. Are you for it? Are you against it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Like, give us your opinion out there. That's what we want. We want to hear from you guys as well.
All right, so that's it for us tonight. I hope you guys really enjoyed the episode. As always, you can also check us out on any of our YouTube page here too, at Football on the No Show. And then also we have Facebook groups too. So Football on the No Show Facebook group, become a member there, and you can join in on the fun too and catch us there too if you guys like to check us out there too as well. We always welcome anybody, to the conversation. We love the support and we love the comments, so keep them coming. And we see you guys in